Hi, just to get straight into it, today I'm going to be sharing my theory on the three steps that people need to take or are stuck in before they can get to the actual point in their life where they make progressive changes and start to become the person they want to be. And I approached this topic, I just want to make it clear before we get into it, I approached this topic not as someone who has done it all, who has had all of the experiences and can tell you this is how I did it, you need to do these specific steps. No. I approach you as a person who is still trying to figure it out and is on a correct path that is going to lead to success, but I just want to document my journey and I want to show you guys my results as I do it. So, with that being said, I'll continue and get into the topic. Now, the first step, or let me just name them. The first one is acknowledgement, the second one is justification and reasoning, and the third one is action. They sound very simple, and honestly, they sound oversimplified. But I would argue that a lot of people get caught up in one of these three things, and or two or three, I guess, but they never really are consciously aware of it, and I will explain why. So, I'd like to give a personal example to start off, beginning with a friend that I had. This was a friend that I had for 7 years of my life, around 7 years. We're no longer friends. But I was friends with this woman. She was obese. And during the course of our friendship, I never really touched on that. I never even made a joke. It wasn't something that I mentioned. And I did this for several reasons. One, back then I had a very scared mindset. I was very afraid of hurting other people's feelings. And there's a saying that I heard recently called, "The wounds of a friend are better than the kisses of an enemy." I was not willing to put her in an uncomfortable situation temporarily to see her better herself in the long term. Now, why I mention this is because she had a problem. She was obese. And reflecting on that now, I noticed two things about her character, specifically about the issue of obesity. The first is she acknowledged it, even though I did not. She oftentimes, I wouldn't say she made jokes on it, but she made it apparent whenever it was an obvious situation and it was getting in her way. Like if we were in a car, a small car, and obviously she'd be taking up a lot of space, or on a bus ride, or footing through a certain type of doorway, right? When the situation made it apparent. And what I realized later on when I ended our friendship about a year or two ago, when I did that, I'd finally gotten the courage because I was in the process of changing my mindset and making significant changes. I told her, "You're obese. I've always wanted to tell you this, and I've wanted to tell you this for your betterment so that you are aware. I've seen the times that you tried to work out, improve yourself, and I've seen the many times that you have failed and you did not manage to stay consistent. And I've also seen how it plagues your life. I'm telling you this because even though we're departing as friends, I do wish you utmost success and I wish you a happy and long life." And what made me really realize that I'd made the correct decision in ending our friendship was that, remember, the first thing, she would always acknowledge it, right? She would always acknowledge it. And then when I ended our friendship, she did the second step, which is justification. I have always been fat because I take these specific meds. I have always been fat because this is what my parents made me eat in a household. I was always fat because my parents did not teach me X and Y about discipline and how to respect your body, you know. And in my head I was just like, okay, you're justifying it, you're creating excuses. And there was no action. I mean, she took action. As I said, she did try to work out and stuff, but she was never able to consistently maintain that action. and I realized that she was someone who was stuck at the second step. And 8 years, 8 long years, I was tired of seeing this person like that, and I was going through the process of just getting out of the second step myself, so I could not be there to try and assist someone else when I was struggling myself. The third and final, most difficult step is taking action. And I'll provide another example, another personalized example. Around a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, I started getting into the UFC and into boxing. Not really a die-hard fan, but I always admired men that were able to weaponize their body, knew how to handle themselves, and were just in good physical condition. And I would see these strikers in the UFC and these boxers, in boxing, and I'd see them do the classic 1-2. And I was always like, why do you need to go to a gym for that? You're just throwing your hands 1-2. It can't be that difficult. Till I started doing it myself, and I realized you need a lot of training and you need a lot of consistent time investment to be able not to only know the timing of when to throw those punches, but to also throw them with proper form so that they can deliver the deadliest blow possible. Sorry. And when I started this, I quickly realized I was throwing haymakers instead of crosses and hooks. I was running out of breath because I didn't have controlled breathing. I was not engaging my core, wasn't engaging my laterals. A lot of issues. And it took me a lot of hours to correct that. And I had to do a lot of it on my own. I can still recall all of the tired sessions where I would just be throwing 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and I was sweating, but it took a lot of time and a lot of effort for an action that I thought was easy. Taking action. When receiving advice from someone about taking action, it always sounds very simple, because it's always easy to just hear someone explain how it's done. It sounds like from step 1 to step Z, done. Till you start doing it and you realize that the most difficult things require a lot of time investment and a lot of dedication and a lot of discipline. There's going to be a lot of times where you simply don't feel like getting up, doing a workout, getting up, let's say making your bed, getting up, doing the things you need to do before you go to work. Many different kinds of examples. Yet we don't do it, even though it sounds so simple. It's not that difficult to make your bed till you wake up, you're in a bad mood, and you don't have a lot of time, and you're just like, I will do it when I get home. You get home, you don't do it, and then the second day, you feel the same way because you yourself did not make your bed, and you know that that's not good. And if you keep consistently doing that, then you tell your mind, you tell your brain, you tell yourself, I'm a person who can't make a bed. Is that a kind of person that can be respected? You can't do something as simple as making a bed. And it's very difficult, and it's still something that I am perfecting myself. And I honestly want people to watch this video and ask yourself, where am I in these 3 steps? Where do I fall in? And do I want to get to the end and try to master this final, most difficult part, which is taking the action and doing the necessary things to become the person I want to be? Because I can tell you, the person I am right now is not the person that I want to be. I love myself, but right now I'm simply not who I want to be. And I'm making the actions and the changes day by day to get there. Are you? That's all. I'm just hoping that this message reaches the people like me, the people who aren't in the place they want to be, or even in worse conditions, and the people that don't have someone to tell them this. Because there's a lot of things that I had to learn on my own, a lot of difficult life lessons, because I did not have proper figures to correct me and to praise me when I was doing good. And that's all that I hope with this channel, is that I'm able to reach those kinds of people and I can give you some help that I desperately wanted but I never received. Thank you.